My name is Max Stein, and I love video games.
I'm the Megabuck. I really love video games.
My name is Raph, and I also love video games.
And welcome to the Game Treasure Podcast, where we discuss treasured video games of yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Warning, the Game Treasure Podcast is not for children or anyone with a brain. And this episode is especially not for children, because today we're talking about one of the most violent video games I've played in a hot second, besides Ninja Gaiden 2, but more on that later. We're talking about Doom: The Dark Ages. It came out yesterday as of this recording. And we decided to do a little bit of a game pairing between this fantastic newest installment in the Doom series and Doom 2. But also, this ended up being incredibly interesting. So I have a feeling we're going to talk about pretty much Doom in general, because Doom's quite storied.
Yeah.
But more on that later. Instead, though, we should start our episode, as we always should, by having the Megabuck and RetroGameTreasure.com take us to the Retro Zone. Buck, please. Yes,
Gondor.
and.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Gondor calls for aid in 2001's Lord of the Rings: Return of the King.
Oh, this game
All right.
kicks ass.
These were actually
whoops ass.
These were actually really cool games. If
They
you
were,
didn't
yeah.
play them back then, they were very Gauntlet Legends-y. I want to say, I guess.
You know what? They're also
Legacy.
very that Marvel Alliance. What is it? Raph brought Marvel Alliance is what else you got a couple
Ultimate Alliance,
weeks ago. This shit was right up there after those movies came out. Same amount of hype to just play as the IP that you're like, oh, Lord of the Rings, so cool. I'm gonna be Legolas. We didn't know no better back then.
Had the fun co-op. According to this box, it says, I'm talking the GameCube version especially here, but according to the box, the only Lord of the Rings game with scenes and music from the movies. I don't know what that means compared to the other Lord of the Rings games.
Is there live action cutscenes of fucking
Probably.
Viggo Mortensen taking a shower or something?
Probably. So
because
funny.
like, don't they all have pretty much like moments from the movies? Like,
Yeah, I think this one actually has some cutscenes. I don't remember that part, to be perfectly honest, though.
This
but
is Return of the King, you said?
yes. Mm-hmm.
You know what? I don't know if we actually played. I know we played a bunch of the Two Towers one, because it has the Battle of the Bulge or whatever the fuck it's called.
Helm's Deep. Yeah, Helm's Deep.
The Helm's Deep. There we go.
When Gandalf showed up at the Bulge.
Obvious, like, this is the obvious, people pick on this movie, The Return of the King. So I don't quite
Just
have
for not
memories.
being Two Towers is the only reason.
Yeah, honestly. But this is a fantastic beat 'em up. Is this 4-player on GameCube, right?
This one was only 2-player, actually, and I think that was because the
bummer.
GameCube couldn't handle that many people on screen at once.
Too
But
many goblins.
it's got the co-op. It's got a lot of different characters in it. 9 different characters you could play as too. One of the, it tells you on here you're going to fight Shelob, King of the Dead, Witch King, Sauron's lieutenants, all that kind of fun stuff. I just enjoyed the gameplay in these, like the hack and slash style, and being able to play as as Gandalf and a lot of other characters.
And it's a 3D hack and slash is the coolest bit, I think. Like, it doesn't actually take that gauntlet top-down angle. Instead, it the camera swings cinematically as you progress through different areas of the game.
So
you know what? The GameCube looks pretty dang good.
Yeah,
just like it did when Resident Evil 4 came out. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So fun fact, there was also, obviously, you guys all probably knew this, I'm sure, but there were also Game Boy Advance versions of all these games. However, the Game Boy Advance version, Return of the King, also took advantage of the Game Boy Advance to GameCube link cable. You could link your Game Boy Advance copy of this game to your GameCube copy of this game, but it doesn't do what you think it does. One of the things that it does is, if you were to play your GBA copy on the go and level up characters, when you link your Game Boy Advance to your GameCube, you could then use the XP points from the Game Boy Advance characters to level up your characters in the GameCube version.
Oh,
that's
get
cool.
more levels.
That is kind of cool. Yeah.
It also worked the other way around. If you owned the GameCube version and linked it to the Game Boy Advance version, you unlocked an artifact in the Game Boy Advance version that made slightly more rare items drop, but it also unlocked Samwise on the GBA version, which he's not one of the playable characters right out of the gate.
That's fucking cool.
Yeah.
Hell
that
yeah,
is pretty
Nintendo.
dope, yeah.
That's dope.
And the
Games
GB
used to be like that. They used to interact with one another with cords. I remember.
and whatnot. You had to be 3 feet away from each other.
Grandpa. Sure, cords. Yeah.
That's
And
how
as
you
an
play
extension too,
games.
the GBA version of this game is actually like a Diablo clone, and it's not too bad either.
Oh,
Damn, I
shit.
did not know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know there were Game Boy Advance ports, and sometimes those Game Boy Advance ports, because they did that quite frequently, and sometimes they were
Oh, yeah.
rough.
Yes.
But Gauntlet's hard to screw up, so that's cool.
Yeah.
Or Diablo, I should say, is hard
But
to screw
it's
up.
Gauntlet, whatever you
Gauntlet
say
is
the
hard
two
to
having a
screw up.
baby.
So settings wise,
Yep.
Gotta have a GameCube for retrogametreasure.com settings.
Yep.
This is just an action adventure platformer, or no, this is a beat 'em up.
A lot of these either skirt both of those. They're either in action adventure or beat 'em up, and I couldn't tell you which one this specific one is in, but it's probably in beat 'em up just because that is also an analog to hack and slash. They're pretty close to one another,
Yeah.
right? And we also have a subgenre for fantasy, and so if you don't select that, we won't aim for fantasy games for you because we don't know if you like Sword and Shield and Magic, right?
But if you put it on there, he's more inclined to say,
Yeah.
"Hey, might like Lord of the Rings: Return of the King."
In fact, you and a friend probably will.
Hell yeah.
For the Nintendo GameCube.
What a
Very
pick,
good
man.
one. That's
What a
fun.
pick.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Let's go ahead and move on. We'll take a quick break, and then when we come back, we're going to talk about fucking Doom.
Fucking dude.
We'll be right back.
Here they come! Easterling! Orcs! Get them all! They seem to be surrounding us!
Okay, my fellow Slayers, we are here today to talk about Doom 2, Doom the Dark Ages, Doom in general. I'm gonna sing the Doom song now. So yeah, I knew Doom the Dark Ages was coming out, obviously, when I planned to record this episode, and then I was like, maybe we could play a little bit about Doom. I don't know how much there is to Doom. Obviously, we did our first-person shooter genre study episode, in which Doom is pretty much a pillar of the first-person shooter genre in general, along
And
with
the
Quake.
ESRB.
And true.
Right, yeah.
But this is before I hand it over to Buck because he knows a shitload about Doom. I just wanted to say that I downloaded on my Xbox the Doom 1 and 2 collection, which
great
is
collection.
part of Game
Cool.
Pass because Bethesda and id Software. That game has a lot more than Doom 1 and 2 in it. It has like the lost levels of Doom 2 or whatever, and then like
Master levels,
bunch
Yeah,
of other
Master level.
games.
Final Doom.
Yes, Final Doom.
Yeah.
And then a bunch of other games that are a series of official and unofficial, basically like mods, and I couldn't remember them all.
Cool.
Raph
Yeah, it was
knew.
like Sigil
cool. I didn't
1
know
and
that.
Sigil 2, and then like some others. So like there's like 5 or 6 games in that collection.
No,
It's
there was like
fantastic.
9. There was
Really?
like,
I
and I was like,
didn't see all
whoa,
of
this
them.
is a
Yeah,
lot
yeah.
more than Doom and Doom 2, which
Doomtail DuckTales edition.
Yeah,
which
right,
led
yeah.
me that'd be great. Which led me just to realize, and then you go to the Wikipedia and it's like, oh my god, Doom has this very long storied history. So I am going to hand it over to our in-game historian, the Megabuck, to talk to us about Doom and Doom 2 and whatnot. Buck,
Yeah.
take the floor.
I love the history of Doom, not just because I lived through it, because that was when I really, really started getting into video games, was in the early 90s. But I also really appreciate it from the business standpoint and what the two Johns did, John Carmack and John Romero, right? So there's a book by David Kushner, if you guys never heard of it, it's called Masters of Doom. I actually read it and I listened to the audiobooks. I'm not mistaken, Will Wheaton is the narrator
That's
That's
of
awesome.
the audiobook. It's a really cool read because it talks about basically how those guys met and their whole team met and how they got together and how they made their first games and how they made Wolfenstein 3D was that first one that they made kind of in that engine that John Carmack had created, right?
It was before.
John Carmack was the programmer really, and John Romero was the level designer for most of the earlier Doom stuff.
Hell yeah.
The coolest, one of my favorite video game industry stories, you always hear fun stories about like, oh, this happened at Rare or this happened with, something Nintendo. My favorite story is like part of like the origins of id Software and these guys. So they're working for this company called Softdisk, right? And if you guys remember back in the day, you could get these game and shareware discs in the mail. Like you could order like almost like a monthly subscription service. It's not a new idea. And you'd get a disc in the mail that would have like small games or demos of games.
Right.
But you pay for these. You would pay like 5, 10, 15, 20 bucks a month, whatever, to get these games in the mail that you'd play. So these guys worked for Softdisk doing that, compiling those games onto those, either making small games or taking those and taking little demos of them, putting them on these demo discs sent out this company, right?
Okay.
So they convinced their employer, we could get this done faster if you'd buy us these newer high-end PCs. We need these better PCs to do this. And he doesn't know any better. So he's like, all right. So he spends tens of thousands of dollars and buys them these really nice computers. What they really use them for is on the weekends, when everybody left the office, Friday afternoon, they would unhook them, pack them up in their cars, take them to their lake house, order a shitload of pizza, and freaking Weekend Warrior program Wolfenstein 3D all weekend long.
Wow.
That's fucking
And then pack it back
awesome.
up, come back into early on Monday for work, bring the computers back in and hook them up. They did this for months.
Wow.
To program Wolfenstein 3D.
That kicks ass.
Yeah, that's cool as hell.
I did not know that. God
Man,
damn, cool.
The DIY like days of video game development, it's so wild. It's
Dude,
like fucking punk rock, man.
Absolutely
It's so cool.
love it.
Yeah.
So when the original Doom came out, getting video games, especially computer games, was really hard. I mean, you had to literally go to like a Software Etc. or somewhere like that. Mail order was more popular than anything else. I don't know if you guys knew this, but the original Doom was a shareware. In other words, you could get Doom for free. You get the first chapter of Doom was free. This was genius for back in the day, for them to spread the word, because no one had really played a game like this unless you played Wolfenstein. But Doom was such a jump in the way that the levels, whatever the word is for, like parallaxed or moved, the way that Carmack designed them, and the level designs that Romero had. And so they hooked people with that. And then you paid a mail order like $24.99, whatever it was, and then they sent you a code for the rest of the game because it was like already on the discs or already had on the discs there. Or they
You
sent
just
you
have
the
to have an
additional
activation
discs
key for it.
to
Okay.
have those to activate and with all that kind
You
of
get
stuff
the
too.
first level, you said.
You get the first chapter. You get the first, section of levels, just enough to hook you and be like, oh my
This
gosh.
is how I
wanna
first
play
played
more of this.
Doom. Doom being like the first game I ever played on a computer was because I had one of these and I played that first chapter on there. Yeah.
I literally posted on Retro's page last week, and it was a copy of it was a picture of the first disc, the disc 1 of 4 of Doom, and it said, what this new Doom, but what about Doom actually from the Dark Age? So obviously it went on to spawn, multiple sequels, everything else. But the story of those guys, I mean, if you're not into, if you like documentary stuff like I do, especially when it pertains to video games, that Masters of Doom, I can't recommend it enough, because it's just amazing the things that these guys did together, especially the two Johns. There's a lot of other team members in there, but John Romero is just a Playboy video game guy now, and John Carmack is an actual rocket scientist.
Oh, wow.
Whoa.
I didn't know that. Holy shit.
I did not know that. Fuck yeah. So what was Doom? I was going to ask, the first time that I played Doom was that Super Nintendo port, this very famous.
Yes.
I think did we have the red cart one?
It was only a red cart.
Yeah.
They only had a red cart
doy.
of this Doom, ported by Williams from id Software, and yep.
Oh, I didn't realize it uses the FX chip, but of course it does.
It was one of the few games that used it. I think it just needed it for the processing power, because the SNES just didn't have enough to create the level backgrounds, the way that it does the backgrounds. But I didn't know any better at the time, because I just thought, man, what a cool, I can play Doom on my Super Nintendo. That's so awesome. But it definitely played better on the PC. And
I mean, the frame rate was abysmal, but still, like, it was still an impressive feat to port that onto a cart. It's crazy.
Sure, because that wasn't, until that version came out, you couldn't buy Doom in the stores. Like, you had to get the shareware mail order version until Doom 2 came out for the PC, and this Doom for the SNES came out. You couldn't actually buy like a physical copy at a storefront.
Yeah, that Doom collection has little like bits of information when you scroll over each game, and that was one of the tidbits of information. Is awesome. Doom 2 is the first Doom that you could go to a store and buy. I was like, wait a minute, hold on, what is happening here with the history of Doom? There's more. There's so much to this.
Yeah, that's true. Because if you played them back then, and you played Wolfenstein 3D, which again at the time, Duke Nukem 3D, Wolfenstein 3D. Duke Nukem was just after Doom 2. The earliest was Wolfenstein in this style. And while it's a great game, if you compare it to Doom, you see the jumps, right, in the textures and the background and the walls.
That
and
was
the
going to be
enemy
like sort of the
details.
question I wanted to get to for you,
Mhm.
which is because I wanted, like, when we were talking about which game could we compare it to, and just like compare New Doom to Doom, and I was like, I don't think so. I think
No,
Doom
yeah.
2 is the shit,
Mm.
from what I understand. And you know, as I'm scrolling through those tidbits of information on the collection, it basically says, you know, Doom 2 adds a bunch of different demons. It adds a bunch of levels. It changes the setting to Earth, which is like a little bit cooler, and you're defending Earth from demons or whatever. And
Mhm.
Doom 2, I mean, to this day, like we were talking about this earlier today, it still has a vibrant and like lively modding community because that game was so incredibly popular, and its multiplayer gameplay was also something people would LAN party up and play Doom 2
Yeah.
in multiplayer. It was wild.
And not only that, but Romero, who was head of all the art direction on all of these as well too. I mean, really and truly handed everything over level design wise for Doom 2 to Sandy Peterson and American McGee. They did the levels for
Yeah. I was
and
talking
so,
about that earlier. That's
fucking
great.
and I know
American
and I
McGee
know we were
worked
going
on
to talk
those.
about the
That's
new
wild.
Doom as well, but I think that is one of the things that they really captured in the new one that is
Mhm.
what made the original older Doom games so great, because the attention to the attention to and the crafting of level design. If any of you play golf out there and you've played a golf course that is creatively designed versus what it's got a hole, it's got a flag, what more do you want? Quit whining.
it's true.
There's a huge difference when the person knows what they're doing.
It's so true. And I can't put my finger on it all the way. I mean, Buck and Raph, you've both probably played Doom 2 a lot more than me, but
Oh, gosh, yes.
even into the first couple levels, I mean, I didn't. I should have gone back and played games around Doom. Like I don't have a lot of Quake experience. Like I don't have a lot of Wolfenstein experience. So I'm hoping you guys could sort of put your finger on what, when you were a child, when you put this game in, did you think this is the most badass shit I've ever seen, or were you just kind of like
I was scared.
I don't know, you know what I mean?
I was
Yeah,
kinda
the original
scared,
one. If you were
honestly,
young
yeah.
enough, I'm sure it was
Yeah.
pretty scary. I can think of more than once that I got jump scared by an imp.
Oh yeah, for
Definitely more
sure.
than
they
once.
definitely stage the levels. Thus, we talked about Wizardom yesterday, like those staged moments where you
Yeah.
open a door and a guy's right on the other side. You're like, oh shit,
Yeah.
fuck yeah.
This game had a lot of those. They had the one that tricks you at the exit too. Though I don't know if it was in Doom 1 or Doom 2 where you go into the exit and then it comes down and there's a fucking imp behind the thing. It scared the crap out of me.
I love those kind of things.
So both of these games, honestly, Doom 2 and Doom the Dark Ages do this thing so well, and they even did it in the other modern ones as well, Doom Eternal and Doom 2016. They have this thing where like the levels are designed where you can see like a secret and you could see it like it's in plain sight, but it's
Oh,
like, well, how
that's
do I get there?
true.
And
Old
then you
Doom
end up
games had that a lot.
yeah, you end up exploring, and
smart.
it encourages you to explore the map. And it's interesting because there's such linear levels with like this option to explore that's not mandatory, but it's there if you are the kind of person that likes to do that. And I think that's such cool level design.
That is true. Secrets, hiding secrets within games, but I didn't think about how putting them in plain sight, so to speak, maybe behind some bars or like, and behind a piece of glass, quote unquote.
Secrets is a Doom trademark, having
Yeah,
secrets
yeah.
and having hidden walls and hidden switches.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. I guess that's sort of one of the pieces to this genre that separates it from something like Call of Duty or
Yeah.
something, or like, I don't know, like another shooter. What is the boomer shooter genre? If you don't also count having the similar graphic style, then I guess it's a first person shooter that emphasizes exploration, collecting both ammo, health, and usually other forms of currency.
Yeah.
Or what is it?
Because it's I mean, obviously dating myself, but it was the only first person shooter.
Right.
It
Yeah,
was
right,
all we
yeah.
had. Now this is a different genre, boomer shooter, because we have the behind the gun, boomer. The
Well, that's my
first
point.
person
Is
shooter.
like
I know,
things
it's funny.
evolved
It's funny.
from
Right, yeah.
it, even though it started this sort
Things
of
evolved from id.
It's
Yeah.
evolved from id Software's
Yes.
Doom, and yet Doom itself still continues like its own style, which is
Yeah.
different from this other style. And I was just
True.
trying to put my finger on what's the the Warhammer one. There's many now on Steam, and what makes them what they are. And I couldn't really put my finger on it, but I think hiding secrets in them that you
Yeah.
find and shit
Mhm.
like that is part of it.
I think they're very good at encapsulating winding tunnels that open up into areas, but then branch off again into those other tunnels. It's kind of like in Expedition 33, how when you go off to a little, they're almost like veins, right? It's like, here's the little room, and you got to go off this way, and then you got to come back, and then you got to go off this way, and you got to come back, and now you've unlocked this path, and you get to continue on. And I think they use that formula a lot, and I think it really lends itself to intuitive exploration.
Hell yeah. You know, I don't have much more to say on Doom 2. So if you guys have any other gushing you want to do about any of the other Dooms, Buck, I know we had Doom 64.
I
This
love that
one,
game.
this Doom Dark Ages also really feels like 64, and
Feels
a
like
lot
all
of
the old
its
ones.
heft, the weight of the jumps, which we'll get to when we get to
Doom
Dark
64
Ages.
also has amazing. You know what it doesn't feel like is this guy right here.
Doom 3.
Doom 3.
I can't remember if I mentioned this game on the RPG or the first person shooter gems episode or not. But my memory of Doom 3 is that it was when Buck helped me build like my first PC when I was like in the 9th grade or something.
Can it run Crysis and can it run Doom?
This was one of the games that I got along with
benchmark.
like Call of Duty 1 or something like this. And this game was so fucking scary to me as a child. Because if you don't know, if you haven't played this one, you're not a kick-ass guy who fucking chews bubble gum and kicks ass or whatever. You are like a guy who cannot hold a gun and a flashlight at the same time.
Yeah, literally. That's why a lot of the Doom heads, whatever they call themselves, don't like this one very much, because you're not a slayer. You're just a dude, and hell is opened up on Mars or whatever.
It feels like a survival horror game more than
that's what they were
Doom
going
game,
for.
right? It doesn't feel like a boomer shooter, a doomer shooter.
I remember taking my PC, not a laptop, my PC to Pete Stolmeyer's house and landing up together and playing there was a multiplayer mod for this. You could play through the campaign with 2 people.
Fun.
And it was still fun, and it was still terrifying, and it was
That'd be
still
kinda
hard
cool,
at points.
dude.
That would be cool. One of you
That's
could
like-
hold the flashlight while the other one shoots.
There was also a mod so that you could have a flashlight on your gun.
That's
We have
awesome.
multiplayer in like some of those retro Dooms in that collection. You can play Doom 2 2-player
Sure.
and shit.
That was that's how Quake came about,
Right,
by that
yeah.
death.
Right.
In that book, they talk about how the deathmatch came about, how like they had made their money off Wolfenstein, and now they're making their own game, and they formed their own software company, and they one day, I think it was even maybe Carmack one weekend just kind of wrote it up in a weekend, and he was like, hey, check this out, and Romero became like the king of the deathmatch. Like no one in the office could beat him. It was
Hell
like
yeah.
trying to kill John Romero, and everybody, and they just end up doing that some with their day.
Here's another thing that all the Dooms have in common, except for probably Doom 3, which is they're metal-centric, metal-forward soundtracks.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a question for you, Buck. Within the context of its release, like, did you find the soundtrack to be particularly intriguing, or was it sort of a thing that just sort of glazed over you?
No, it definitely hit, because the same guy, Bobby Prince, who did the music for a lot of the Doom games, he also did the music for Wolfenstein. He did the music for Duke Nukem 3D, and so that's why a lot of these sound the same, but all sound like really good, right?
I have the level music for Doom 2 here, and this shit
fuck yeah.
slaps.
Yeah, it's in my head right here. Yeah, right there. Knee deep in the dead, right? That bass.
Stank face metal right there.
but not 007.
But not 007. Yeah. I was playing this earlier today, and I was
Hell yeah.
impressed. I was
Oh.
like, shit, yeah, I guess the music's always been pretty dope,
Yeah.
because obviously Doom 2016, Raph, you played that game a lot. I don't remember the name of the composer.
Mick
Do
Gordon.
you?
Yeah, Mick Gordon. Yeah.
Man,
Yeah,
his
he
fucking
did a lot of the
sound-
modern Doom games,
right.
except for Dark Ages, basically.
Yeah. Well, that was issues with his contract and pay and all that stuff.
Yeah, they
We
had
won't
a
get
whole
into that
falling
thing,
out, yeah.
But It's funny because Doom 2 has some like kind of funky music later on.
Oh,
If you
it's
play
so
like
good.
the third level, it's spelled the Gantlet, which I'm assuming
Yes.
they meant the Gauntlet. They
it's the
famously misspelled Gantlet.
That's awesome.
But that one's got like a really funky sort of like I don't know how to describe it. Very 80s or 90s sort of soundtrack.
Wait,
Very
hold on. I
different,
can't hear it. I have to set my IRQ to the right channel. Give me a second. Old
I have
PC
the theme for Doom: The Dark Ages here.
Okay.
Because
Oh, yeah, let's hear
it kicks ass too. It's a little bit slower on the front end, so I'm
Yeah,
gonna
but
probably
then it hits.
skip. Yeah, it starts out very ominously
It's got that
slow as.
yeah.
It hits hard.
I'll skip into like the 1 minute mark in a few seconds.
Yeah, because it's a lot of this at the beginning,
Yeah,
right?
for a while.
Yeah, I think it's great because you're going through the settings. You're like, all right,
Right. Yeah.
go to this, nightmare, okay.
Yeah. And then you
Change my
finally get to
reticle.
the actual main menu. There we go.
That's like some Saw level shit.
I was sitting on the couch getting ready to play, and my neck just started. I was like, I want to be in a mosh pit right now. This shit fucking slaps. This shit is gnarly. Drone metal. Which I gotta say, man, this game does a pretty fucking good job making you feel like that music.
Yeah. As Doom should. That's what Doom should do.
I mean, the extension to where they've gotten here, like, first of all, several things have evolved. One, the storyline in this game is outrageous.
Yeah.
I could not make heads or tails of what the fuck is
a little
happening.
Master Chief over the top shit.
I got
It
something
is.
to say about that, by the way. The Master
What
Chief
do you have to
comparison.
say? Yeah,
well, the
yeah.
Master Chief comparison you just made, it's like this game feels like the anti-Halo. Like you feel like the anti-Master Chief. So like I wrote in my notes here is like in Halo, other soldiers see Master Chief with a certain amount of like religious reverence almost. He's this unstoppable hero that's come to save the day. But in Doom, your friendly soldiers that are around you, they see you with the same awe, but that awe comes off less as reverence and more
they're
as like
terrified.
holy religious terror. They see you and they see you as this unstoppable killing machine. You're like a weapon of mass destruction that's just barely being contained and under control. And that control, like in the story, kind of seems like it's starting to slip too.
That's definitely the vibe that they
Yeah.
give you. Yes.
Which
Oh,
is
yeah.
Release the Slayer.
It's the anti-Halo, dude.
Awesome, by the way, because it's like I mean, Doom and Doom 2,
Yeah.
I don't know if that was the storyline to do. You certainly don't seem like the same guy. If you were to show me, they'd be like, did you know that these two characters are the same? I'd be like, really? Because this guy looks like the Juggernaut and like mixed with Satan, and then this guy is like a guy with a shotgun.
Yeah.
And that's crazy that we've gotten to this,
Yeah.
whatever who's in charge of Doom, and yet it still has a lot to do with like, I want to say demon fantasy.
Mhm.
Yeah, same thing. Demons, the portals opened by demons was like that's the story in like every Doom game.
Yeah.
Except
Right.
now
Depends
they
on where you
wear
are.
like 2-piece suits made of red leather, and their
Yeah,
names are like
cool.
Zalenthor, and they have a relationship with their witch harem. Like I'm like,
Oh,
whoa.
now you're losing me.
It's
There's
No,
got
I
some
too much lore there.
crazy,
I
like,
mean, Buck,
yeah.
you haven't played this game. I know you said you watched it and it was a little boring, but one huge difference to where they've gotten in Doom is just like there's a lot of fucking cutscenes in this
This
game.
one has the most plot out of the modern Doom games. Like Doom 2016 had a little bit.
Didn't
It had a
Eternal
little
have
bit of plot.
Eternal had a lot with the whole ship
Eternal
and
did,
everything
yeah.
too, which was
Eternal-
okay. I appreciated the hub aspect of it.
Yeah, that was cool. Yeah.
Because Raph pointed out in 2016 Doom, that's when they like did the reboot. It's all from the first person, so they wanted to do as much homaging to the references, like this is a first person shooter.
Right.
Yeah.
And then in Eternal, they add a couple cutscenes, and now in this one, there's like Hideo Kojima levels of like, all right, you start the chapter like 2, and there is like a 10-minute cutscene of this like fucking Dune. What's the big fat guy from Dune or what? Harkonnen? It's fucking a big Harkonnen looking
With his
motherfucker.
golden nipples.
And they're like,
Oh
Lord,
my.
we have to send down the Slayer, otherwise the,
Yeah.
the trans-dimensional fucking gate will be opened. It does not work. My Lord, it nearly...
Yeah, that was the part that was a little boring to me. I'm not gonna lie. I wasn't
Yeah.
really excited about that. It's like
I
get
was
to the
just
game.
going,
I want to see
what
Doom.
in the fuck is happening with Doom? Where have
Yeah.
they gotten to? And this is a prequel, if I'm not mistaken, to Doom 2016. Is that right?
Yes.
I
Or
believe
I
so,
think this
yeah,
takes place right after Doom 64, which is
Okay.
which is
third or
amazing
fourth
to
in the
think
timeline.
about, which would be a fantastic world. But the storyline, I don't make heads or tails of it because you don't need it. Because when you get in the
Right,
game,
exactly.
holy shit balls! This game, we played Ninja Gaiden 2 Black earlier this year, and I said that it makes you feel like a human can opener. Doom: The Dark Ages makes you just feel like a sledgehammer. You just feel like you just fucking
You're
crush
less
shit.
you're less what's the word? You're less finesse.
Oh,
the murder.
absolutely.
No, but that's the
To the
thing, though. You
murder.
feel like a sledgehammer that moves at lightning speed.
I don't know. I think
It's-
you feel more like just a tank, man, because
Yeah.
it's just like you do move pretty fast. But I think, because I played a little bit of Doom 2016, if you've listened to the podcast, you may have heard me say that I bounced off of a level pretty early, so I didn't get to play that much of it. But I was like asking Raph, like, does this game not feel a little bit slower to
Oh,
you?
yeah.
Does it?
100%. Yeah.
I think it feels more similar to the speeds you see in Doom 2.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yep.
As opposed to how fast
Yeah.
it got in Doom
Yeah.
Eternal and Doom
And the
2016.
reboot too. The reboot one was really it was all action all the time, which is okay, but I appreciate the going a bit back to the roots in this one, that it just feels like a good fast-paced shooter.
It makes the arenas, for me, I don't know, maybe other people who are good at first-person shooters be like, I want it to be faster, but I'm like, slow the fuck down. I can't react this fast. So
That's why
there's
they
no
give you a
need-
shield.
Exactly. And I'll tell you, the shield.
Oh my god, it's my
Whoops.
favorite
Ah,
thing.
yes.
Yeah, that's a cool
Yeah.
mechanic to put in there. It lends itself perfectly to that play style without destroying that play style.
Yes, because you know what? I was like talking to Raph earlier, and it was like, they have given you an answer for everything now.
Yeah.
That you have a
Yeah.
defensive thing, because it
Sure.
used to be like shoot and then like don't get shot.
Run.
But now
Yeah.
it's like, oh, you can get shot as long as your shield's up. Like you're just like, you don't give a fuck. Like you're a badass guy. So like it's like you don't even have to move out of the way of shit anymore. You can just stand there like an absolute beast and just absorb it. Or even like if you parry at the correct time, like if you block an attack at the correct time, he'll just
Bounce
fucking
it
like
back, yeah.
counter it and then like blow them up with his fucking shield like a fucking Space Marine from Warhammer 40k.
And I
I
feel like
think-
that's a really cool change
Yeah.
shift in gameplay from just constantly strafing left and right.
The
too.
developers said it best during like the reveal trailer for it. You know, they said the original, you know, Doom 2016 is run and gun, Doom Eternal is jump and shoot. This game is stand and fight, and you straight up
Yes.
a lot of the time end up just boom with a shield and then like just tanking blows, and then you can go ahead and charge forward with a shield or whatever.
Yeah.
You know,
I like
'Cause-
that. I think that's cool.
You do get like a shield bash situation where you can cover a lot of ground really quickly if you need to, but it's got like an inherent cooldown. So usually, you know, you'll run up to somebody, shield bash them, and they will just fucking explode. And then wherever you land, you just
Yeah.
take your gun and begin blasting somebody until that's ready. And then
Mhm.
So, anyways, I started blasting.
so anyways,
even
I
just
started
start
blasting should be
punching.
punching. So you
the
get
punching feels so good, dude.
you get like a power gauntlet like
Mm.
early in the first level.
Sure.
And so you
As
get
you
these 3 punch charges basically that replenish just over time automatically. And you can also get like you can pick up things to make it charge faster. But yeah, it's just like he just straight up does like a torqued time 3-punch combo where like you can just like do a finishing punch that just like literally he'll just like uppercut them and literally explode their head, and it's
Yeah.
so good, dude.
I've never felt more powerful in a video game. There's like a couple of
Yep.
things I think that really contribute to this. That aforementioned religious terror that I mentioned, like as you're walking through level, people are like, "It's the Doomsayer! Oh my god!"
Yeah,
And like you
over
hear
the
people
radio,
on
they're like,
radio,
"Get out of his fucking way!"
Yeah,
he's
they're like,
dangerous."
"Everybody just stay away from the fucking Doomslayer."
Fall
Yeah.
at the feet
Yeah.
of the Doom
Yeah.
Slayer.
The other thing is that the very sound of your movement, the Doomslayer clumps around with booming footsteps. Just moving is like thump, thump, thump,
Yeah.
thump, and you hear them, and you move so fucking fast.
I wasn't
too.
sure if that was the same in the 2016 or Eternal
No,
because
no.
there's parts where you have to like jump down from really high up, and
Yeah.
when you land, you're like the fucking Hulk. Like depending on
Superhero
how
landing.
high you
Yeah.
land, you'll just like shockwave and explode everyone around you.
Yeah.
Like just like without having to do anything, which is great for Doom because the premise is like you jump into arena and then have to fight a bunch of guys. So you're gonna fight a bunch of fucking guys anyway. There might as well be 30 in there that I auto kill as soon as I jump in, just so I feel cool as fuck. like for no other reason, like just like Ninja Gaiden, where it's just like I just want to feel strong. And this game, I agree with Raph. I was like, I think this is the strongest I've ever felt in a video game, especially when you get to the third level and you get to get inside the mech. And, like we got home from the gym today, and then I played through that level while Raph was in the shower or something. And then when he got out, I was like, you simply must get to this level. It's holy shit, dude.
Here, come sit down and play mine.
He got to it, beat it, and so you in the third level, it was like there's 22 chapters, and the third chapter, the thumbnail for it is the mech, and I was like, oh boy, well, maybe at the end of this level they'll tease me.
I want to be a Zord.
And the level starts, and you are immediately in the mech. Like it's just like, hey, buddy, you get in this fucking kick-ass horned. It just looks like you. You're just like a giant version of yourself.
It looks like
horns.
you with horns. Yeah.
Yes,
you with horns.
And you,
I wrote in my
it's
notes
you,
that
but
the
horny.
combat.
Yes,
The combat here feels like Titanfall on steroids. When you're walking around in the
I
mech,
think
it
that's what
feels
they were
like
going
Titanfall.
for.
Yeah,
I got
think
the
that's what they're
Titanfall definitely as far as the vibe of how big you feel. You can't jump when you're in the mech because you don't fucking need to. Because if there's any shit in your way, you can just destroy it. No, I mean you can't literally jump in the air because there's no need. You're massive. For what do you need to jump? And there's buildings in your way, and it's like dash through them. And I was like, oh yes. And he just like boom, 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 boom. It's very it's very Pacific Rim.
Yes.
Yes. Very Pacific Rim. Yeah.
I got that vibe too, in a good way.
You start out in the mech. Fists, right? And it's explaining to you that there's a 3-punch combo system that builds up a meter. When the meter gets halfway up, you get like this stomping move that can like do a big crack in the ground that can hit a bunch of enemies. But if you get the meter all the way up, you can use the back half of it to do like this fucking like palm strike that just like fucking once again makes people explode. And the shit that you're fighting, and I was just like, this is such a good idea. The shit that you're fighting is like the shit that you always see in the Doom levels.
Like in the background, the giants.
Yes,
and
in
stuff,
2016 and Doom Eternal, you'll be like walking around, you go, whoa, look at that fucking thing. Like, can you imagine fighting this? And then this game said, yes. And then it lets you fucking fight as a giant Doom mech, fist to fist for a long time. And then the fucking king of Eternia, which like is there, you know what I mean? Because it's so outrageous in the storyline. He's like, I am the king of wherever the fuck we are, and you have to fucking. And he's in a mech too, and he gives you like a fucking Gundam Wing Heavy Arms custom style double Gatling gun, and like my jaw actually dropped when I was just like, oh my god, you get guns too, and I was just like, this is incredible.
So excessive. Oh wait, that's Doom.
Yeah,
and it's just like Raph said, you get a quick dash thing with the mech. If you quick dash at the right time, it slows down time and supercharges your gun. So then for the back half of that level, you're just like zipping around guys, like strafing them, and then in slow motion just like unloading a gun. And that was the moment. There was a moment where I was just like 2 feet away from a 50-story tall demon, and I was just blowing him to fucking pieces with a Gatling gun, just like from like 10 feet away. And I was just like, this is the coolest shit I have ever seen. Holy fuck, bro. This is so violent. I love it.
Moment in that is when you first get that Gatling gun and he holds it up and you see the bullets in the gun. And I'm thinking to myself, like, how big these bullets look and how big I am. That's like the size of a
like
car.
A person could fit inside.
Like these bullets are like the size of a fucking car easily. Like it's crazy. Dude.
That shit crescendos with your guy like saving the day by like pulling a nuclear reactor out of this thing, and then they're like, oh, you got to get rid of it, it's gonna blow, and you get rid of it by like you beat the boss demon, and then he just like opens the demon's mouth and fucking shoves it in his mouth, and then kicks him into a crevice like 300, and then when he hits the bottom of the crevasse, an explosion comes in, and then I was just like, oh shit, what's gonna happen? And then a helicopter flies by, and the Doom guy jumps out of the mech into the helicopter, and I was like, whoa, like this is a Vin Diesel wet dream. This is the coolest shit I've ever like. This is so action packed, and it's so fucking metal. It's I don't know. It's bonkers, dude.
Anti-Master Chief. I'm telling you, dude.
That is a really funny point. But you know that was where I ended my experience. I'm probably not going to be in the mech in the next level, but I did in the level before that. You got the buzzsaw shield, where you can chuck the shield like Captain America, and you can chuck it to just like cut lighter enemies in half, or the bigger enemies, like the chainsaw shield will get stuck inside of them and then like continue to hurt them. And all the weapons have different upgrades that you can give them, like with currency that you find. And like I found an upgrade for this nail gun thing that you get, where
Yeah.
the more nails you shoot into one guy, the more damage it does.
But definitely not the needler. It's definitely a nail gun.
Because fuck Halo.
Yeah,
No, but once you get this certain upgrade for the shield, it's like if you chuck a shield into a big fat guy and then shoot him with the nail gun thing, the nails will bounce off of the shield and kill random small guys around him.
Neat.
And I was
That's
just like,
cool.
oh
That's cool.
man, this is violence heaven. This is just the awesome, dude.
Did you get any of the, like, because Doom, like since the 2016 one, they kind of have like unique animations for the glory kills depending on what you're like contextually doing. So like in Doom 2016, you can like when they flash that they're ready to be glory killed, you can actually jump in the air, do the glory kill, and you'll land on them and stomp on their head or whatever. In this game, I had one where I did that. I jumped, and what he did, instead of like just hitting them or hitting them with the shield, he ran up and just hit it with the chainsaw portion and cut him right in half. It was fucking gnarly.
Hell yeah.
Yeah,
It's
dude.
Bone Tomahawk style.
Yes,
I,
Bone Tomahawk style.
Eternal definitely had a lot of those.
And the last thing I think the game design, the level design of Dark Ages is real good.
It's a very much a throwback.
I think so.
To 1 to Doom 64. They did a great job with that.
If you've heard me talk about why I bounced off Doom 2016, I didn't want to say this earlier, but it was because I got to a point in a level where I didn't know where to go. I got lost.
Wasn't that the arena one? How do you get lost in that one, or was that Eternal? I get the two confused in my brain.
I was in a corridor, like, you know how Doom levels go. You're like looking for your next thing you're looking for. Like that's
When you
basically
get
like
outside.
get the yellow key.
Was
get
it?
the red key.
Was Eternal the more arena-y one? Level design.
Yeah, it was a little bit more arena-y. Like 2016 had arenas, but it did. I know what you mean, Mac. Like when you get outside,
they all have moments
link
of
together.
arenas that are
Right.
like you said.
No, Eternal is like arena corridor,
Yeah.
arena corridor,
Yeah.
like over rinse repeat. There's
with
no
a few
like, level
platforming
design to
sections.
speak of.
That one introduced the platforming. But yes, 2016 has like the second that you step onto the surface of Mars, then it gets a little bit more open and easy to get lost.
Yeah, it had those freaking gymnast bars, didn't it?
Yes, it did. Yeah.
And so I bounced off of it because I didn't know where to go. But the
That's fair.
map in this game, which I was like, does Doom 2016 have a map?
It does, and it's very hard to read. It's a
And
little hard.
I'm about to say that because I must be stupid because I got lost and couldn't figure out where to go. Whereas this
hard to
game,
read,
the
yeah.
3D map is fantastic, and I'm
Very
always just
simple,
like
yeah.
Very Metroid Prime-y.
looking for the like it's secrets of the level. You'll just be like, oh, haven't gone to this part of the level. And even when I did that in the very first level, when I checked off everywhere I could go in the map, there were still secrets that I didn't found that it let me know at the end of the thing. So I was like, damn, that's cool. That's really awesome that you put that many things in there and I wasn't able to find them even with I was scouring as best I could.
Yeah, like an old Doom game. You would
Like
run
an old
around
Doom
every
game.
wall hitting spacebar.
Yeah.
Trying to find the hidden wall.
Hell yeah. Well, Doom the Dark Ages. I'll probably play a couple more levels. I don't know if I'll keep playing just because first-person shooters sort of elude me, and I would like to get back to Expedition 33. But I liked it. I thought it was, like I said, violence heaven. So good job, id Software and Bethesda. You made a good one. I really like this one. I think a little bit more than that 2016 experience. This one is
I think so.
really cool. You seem to kick a lot of ass.
Mhm.
So that does it for our discussion on Doom the Dark Ages. We will go ahead and take a quick break, and when we come back, we will do our What Else You Got and head on out of here. All right, it's time for our What Else You Got, the segment of our show. We can bring anything to the table, be it video game or otherwise. I just have a bunch of tiny things, really. How do I say this? I once again have done that thing where Buck will tell me to watch an anime and then I won't for 2 months and then I will and be like, oh, I should have watched this 2 months ago. I've been watching Free Run Beyond Journey's End, which I believe Buck has talked about on this show before. But
I'm sure me and Benny have. Yeah, it's wonderful.
It's about, you know, when he gave me the synopsis, I was like, that sounds pretty cool. But then I watched it and I was like, ah, yes.
And
Much
execution
like
is good.
most things we consume, I can plumb the depths of the meaning of this show. It's so much more thoroughly. It begins with an elvish mage who has just completed a very epic quest. However, she lives for thousands upon thousands of years, and so she has like a lot more life to go, and the people that she adventures with do not.
Mhm.
And so she, in like the second episode, she like hooks up with them again, or this might even be in the first episode, and they're all very old. And then one of them,
The two humans
the
are, for
human
sure, yeah.
hero, who's like the main character, so to speak, of the party that you don't really get to see, passes away. And she goes to his funeral, and she's just like, I'm gonna cry. Damn it. She's like, damn, like I really didn't know him that well, and I didn't think I would care, because life, she's kind of like Dr. Manhattan adjacent, where like when you're like when your existence is that long, you sort of don't have the same frame of reference as everyone else, and so you might not care about things as much as other people would. You know what I mean? If you were omniscient or omnipotent, you would be like, so but when her friend dies, she's truly stricken by it and like, oh fuck, you know what? I actually did fuck up, and I shouldn't be like this anymore. And I'm going to try to do a good job and like learn about humans and learn about mortality. Like, you know what I mean? And just like do a better job caring about shit. That isn't just like the only thing I care about, which is her hobby, which is collecting obscure spells, which is such a fun thing.
That's
And
such
by
a cool
obscure, I
hobby
mean
for an anime. Yeah.
literally like she has an assistant, and there'll be like because it's kind of monster of the week adjacent, but it's like, she'll be like, oh, I'm trying to get this grimoire. What is it? It's a spell that lets you see through people's clothes. And then her assistant's like, what the fuck do you need that for? And she's like, because it's my fucking hobby. I just like collecting weird shit, like weird spells. And it's like the way they present magic, it's as if it's music, where it's just like there's tiny little, colloquial jingles. If you were to collect, it'd be like if someone wanted to collect every folk song that ever existed in America. You know what I mean? And you'd go from state to state learning every state's folk songs, for even if they were a 30-second jingle for toothpaste or something. You know what I mean? Like, so it's really, really touching show. And I got to the episode where she fights the demons, and it's also incredibly violent.
Yes.
Oh my God.
She's very powerful, and it's very
She's
cool.
super
and she
strong,
has to unleash.
and she has a fighter guy who is just like, holy
Stark.
shit, bro. He's fucking, he gets into the shit. He gets his ass whipped a lot.
I wish you'd watched it before I went to Japan, because they had all these really
Dude.
great shirts of her head first stuck in a mimic, and it just says kawaii. Like, it's
Yeah.
scary in here.
It's that is one layer of it, where she's like, she's a loop, but the other is that she's trying to change, even though she's over 1,000 years old.
Yeah.
And it's just like, how much more stuff could there be? It reminds me of the end of Adventure Time, where it's just like life goes on, man.
Yeah.
One hero is replaced by another, and there's this bit about statues that made me cry, where it's just like, why? She's like, why erect them? You know what I mean? Won't you just? And she's like, and they're like, well, because humans forget shit. You go through a couple generations, and this information could just be fucking gone to us. Like, and so we build these statues so that we won't remember that there a long, long time ago, someone really great did something that really helped us all. And it was just like, oh my God, I'm crying. It's really good. And then she's like, oh, I understand now. And the other thing is, I've been doing a lot of boxing, and I got some 18-ounce gloves to work the bag with, because I'm hopefully going to be doing some competition shit sometime soon. So I got some fucking Little Mac lime green gloves,
dude.
baby. Let's
so
go.
Hell yeah.
Little Mac.
Fantastic.
That is
fantastic. That's it. That's all I've got for my What Else You Got this week. Buck, what else do you have for us this week,
What?
sir?
Oh, sorry. I was playing Doom on this little thing that also plays Doom, just like pregnancy tests.
Yuck.
Lots of fun stuff going on. I wanted to bring up, because I just absolutely loved it when I brought up in our Hot Steam last week about Look Outside. I beat it.
Hell yeah.
Absolutely.
Dude, fuck yeah, man.
I cannot recommend that game enough. It literally is an homage to Sweet Home. It's only like a 10-ish hour game. I got one of the good endings. I didn't even find half of the characters that you can find because a lot of them are just RNG, like showing up in the maps and showing up at your door and doing different things on the map. I just cannot recommend that game enough. I mean, it's a turn-based RPG in like horror universe. What more do you want, right?
Yeah.
Next one is I've got an anime call.
What have we got?
Some Blu-ray anime. I bought this, even though it's not my type of Gundam I like. I bought the Gundam Gunpla Builders movie, which
Oh,
is
cool.
actually very high rated amongst
What is
Gundam.
the name of that anime where the little boy has the action figures that do combat in the
Build Fighters. This is a movie. It's the same thing.
I'm sorry, I'm
build
not
them.
Gundam.
Oh.
I'm talking about one that
Oh,
remember
I'm
when
sorry.
I was like
there is a Gundam series
when
where
I
they
was
do that.
I know that's what I'm getting at is I saw that on Amazon because I recently got Crunchyroll and I was like, oh my god, this is that fucking show that when Buck went to Japan for the very first time when he was in college, I had him get me a Japanese copy. And it's about a boy, and he's got an action figure that's like a female Power Ranger.
Oh shit!
Yes, now you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Because
And
one
then
of our friends bought the Game Boy Advance game while we were there.
and
too.
I saw this Gundam thing, and I was like, oh shit, it's that, but with Gundams. That's a good idea.
It's gonna come to me now.
So,
gosh dang
have
it.
you watched that movie yet or no?
I have not watched this yet. No, this just came in.
Have you watched the show?
No, but and because that's not my style of Gundam. I normally like, but this movie in particular is very highly rated for like its pacing and its content and its fights.
Interesting. Raph, have you seen this?
No.
It's about like kids that put together Gunpla.
Okay.
And then like they come to life and battle one another in this like arena like thing. Like it's very Metabots and it's very this
Cool.
fucking anime that I can't remember the name of that I used to like.
And I got another one too.
Okay.
This one you can watch on streaming services because you said you had Crunchyroll. So and this is a Mobile Suit Gundam Kukuru's Doan's Island.
What the heck is this?
Yeah,
Check
what
this
is this?
out, right? You got to see this, Mac, once you watch the original Gundam series. This is a movie that came out like this year that is based on the lost 15th episode of the original Gundam series. It takes place in White Base fighting Zeon troops, and they brought back Amuro and frickin' Captain and Noah Bright and all of these characters. It's like taking a dive back into your favorite show from like the 80s and doing one more episode. It's a frickin' Friends Seinfeld. It's that Seinfeld episode that was on Curb Your Enthusiasm, but Gundam anime.
How is there a
Wild.
lost episode?
I didn't know there was.
It was just an episode they
either.
never got to air. Or they only glimpsed
Wow.
over it, and they amalgamated it into another one, and so they didn't. But they made a movie. It's just I've heard that it's not like the best. It's not going to blow your socks off as a Gundam movie, but it's so
a cool little oddity to have.
It's so cool to revisit these characters
Mhm.
literally 40 years later, and get to have one last little jaunt with the White Base crew and Amuro Ray and the RX-78, right? And I got one more for you, and that is it wouldn't be a new Doom, because apparently this is a tradition I didn't know that I did, if I didn't get a new PC.
Oh,
What?
I built a new beast.
Wow.
And this is when I'm playing my Monster Hunter Expedition 33 now.
Really?
And I looked back. It's funny because I looked back and went, oh, it was about 5 years ago I got my last PC. Oh, that's when Doom Eternal came out. When did I get my last one? Oh, about 10 years ago. That's when the Doom reboot came.
You know what's so
I
funny
must
that
buy
I
new
didn't
towers to
mention
play Doom.
when I played
Oh, yeah.
Doom Dark Ages on my Xbox.
Mhm.
When I went to go play it on my PC because I was like, oh, it's a first person shooter. I booted it up and my Doom was like, hey buddy, just so you know, you got old BIOS on your motherboard.
Whoa.
You might hurt your computer if you play this game. And I was just like, excuse me, Doom? And it was just like, I mean, you can play it if you want, but I'm just saying you might sprain your ankle because this game's fucking gonna work your shit. And I was just like, what in the fuck are you talking about? So I was like, I guess I won't play it until I update my BIOS because that's pretty scary. It's a beast of a game. Well, congratulations. That thing looks fucking gorgeous.
Thank you. It's got a little Rathalos in there too. I put a
I
little
see
Rathalos
that.
in
That
there.
is adorable.
Looks fucking sick, dude.
Raph, what else have you got for us this week?
I got a couple. So about 5 days ago, just wanted to touch on the Sega released a Virtua Fighter Direct, a new one. So we got a little bit more details
Cool.
about the new upcoming Virtua Fighter title. It was literally the biggest lore dump in the entire history of Virtua Fighter because Virtua Fighter famously has almost no lore. But they just revealed the character of Wolf Hawkfield. He's like the wrestler character. Just a little snippet of lore there going on, and it's literally all
pretty cool
just
though.
what's up.
It
Yeah,
looked
it looked
pretty
really cool. Yeah, it looks really sick. Just a little thing to touch on. I'm obviously very excited about it. I streamed Virtua Fighter last week, and I had a pretty good time doing that. It runs way better on Streamlabs than Street Fighter 6 does. Street Fighter 6 like slows down to like 50% speed when I try to run it on Streamlabs. But
Oopsie.
I don't know why. Yeah, I'm gonna do some research because I'd love to stream that game, but it plays like shit when I try to stream it. But the other big thing, and the big thing, is that new motherfucking Helldivers 2 update.
Yeah, dude.
Just
I
when you
played
thought
it-
you were out, they pulled you back in again.
They're
Oh, no,
so
I-
good at updating this game.
Dude, honestly, well, they've been on and off, sort of good and bad about it. It's kind of wild. Like the whole development history and the plot of this game is kind of crazy right now. To give you a brief synopsis, like up until this point, the important thing is that there was a big war, a big fight on the planet Meridia, and somehow at some point, I think it's something that we did, the like Super Earth did, but a giant black hole destroyed the planet of Meridia. And for the longest time, this black hole was just there in the game. You could go visit it. And then at some point, people started to notice that it was getting bigger. They were like, hey guys, did you guys notice this? This is fucking getting bigger. It's got like a glowing ring around it. It's kind of weird. Then it's fine. And then one day the Illuminates showed back up, an enemy that hadn't been seen since the first Helldivers game. They showed back up in like little snippets, like little incursions. And then people started to notice, oh my God, the Meridian black hole is moving. And it started to move towards Super Earth, destroying planets along the way. Long story short, we stopped them. We stopped the Meridian black hole, and the Illuminate just disappeared one day. They were gone again. And then just a few days ago, apparently the Meridian black hole became active again, and a massive armada showed up to invade Super Earth. So now that's where we're at. Now there's this massive war going on around the Meridian black hole and around the planets around the Meridian black hole, literally one sector away from Super Earth. They added new. It's the biggest update in the entire game's history. They added new,
which is wild to me.
Yeah,
because
yeah,
they
like-
added so much fucking shit to this game.
Dude, they added levels for your guns. Like you can upgrade your guns as you use them. They level up, and you can actually come up with different builds for your weapons, which is something that you couldn't do before. Obviously,
You can like customize the parts.
You can attach like a scope to a rifle that didn't have one before, or you can take the scope off or add like a muzzle brake or something like that.
That
A lot of
fucking
little
kicks ass.
things. They start off at level 1. You can get them up to like level 25 or something like that. That's cool. It incentivizes you to use all the different guns because there's a lot of them in that game. There's a new war bond now out, which I ended up buying kind of the first day it came out, and it comes with a fucking sword. It's a saber. You have a full on saber with like World War I like German helmets with the spikes up on top. It's wild. You have like crazy cool capes and stuff like that. There's even a flag that you can use as a melee weapon now.
I was about to say they added melee weapons.
Yeah,
I
you can use it straight up.
They've got
super
maces and all sorts of
Yes.
shit.
I use the hatchet a lot with like a shield, so I kind of hatcheted it up with the shield and stuff. The other big thing was that they added new enemy units to the Illuminate. So before you were dealing with the Illuminate, you were dealing with these like hordes of what they call the voteless. They're basically humans that have been converted into non-voting citizens, as they call them, I suppose. They're literally called the voteless. They have no vote.
That's
But
so
they're
good.
just
Oh my God,
zombies.
that universe is hilarious.
Yeah, they're basically zombies, and then you have like the Illuminate overseers and all that stuff. But now they've added something that's an amalgamation of voteless, and it's a giant lumbering fused together flesh ball of many voteless that are all just flailing arms and legs and shit. Dude, I dropped into this game the other day and I saw that as soon as I landed, and I go, what the fuck is that? It's one of those instances that just, I'm like, oh shit, like so jarring. The Illuminate now have their own strafing runs, which is pretty wild now. So you'd be playing, and then all of a sudden you see the ground light up around you, and you realize, oh shit, there's a plane incoming, and then it shows up and just strafes the ground in front of you. It's been a great time. It is unbelievably difficult. I will say that it's like we've had to like turn the difficulty down. Like my friend Lauren and I, which you've seen on stream before, and our friend Alex, who's been on the streams with me before as well. We normally play at like impossible or higher difficulty because that's how you get the super samples in that game. And we've had to bring it down to like hard difficulty now because we just cannot keep up with, like, it's just running the entire time. A lot of good shit, man. Check it out. Helldivers 2 newest update. And then looming on the horizon, I think the newest event in that is called the Heart of Democracy. I think we're going to be fighting on the streets of Super Earth for the liberation of Super Earth. I'm
Which
so
would be
fucking excited, guys.
Awesome.
It
Do
is.
they have any real like city maps in that game yet?
Yeah, they have so like the Illuminate maps have like these city areas that are like tightly dense and like tightly packed like city areas with other stuff around them, but the city maps are intense, dude. You're running through the streets with like zombies chasing you and like shit shooting at you, UFOs hovering over the air, dropping enemies in. It's just wild, dude. It's good
The
stuff.
game beats ass. It's the most chaotic shit.
It really
so
is.
Good.
Yeah, just
I want to
chaos.
jump in
So
on
much
this
fun.
on this new update for sure.
If the best RPG since non-Final Fantasy RPG since like Lost Odyssey hadn't just come out
I'm so
and have
glad
time
you-
for other stuff.
I'm so glad you love that game. I'm so glad you like it as much as I have.
Well, that's all I got, man. That's all I got this week.
Hell yes. That does it then. That means we're at the end of our show. Thank you so much for listening or watching. Dear listener or watcher, do us a huge favor, like and subscribe. If you are just listening to this, don't forget you can pull it out and watch it. It's a video podcast. Spotify wants you to do that. You can reach out to us with any video games or questions that you have for us at gametreasurepodcast@gmail.com. Make sure to head on over to our merch store, which you can find at our Linktree straight up. Linktree/the GTP. While you're there, you can also find the link to our Patreon, patreon.com/the GTP. The 4th episode of the UFO 50. I just finished editing it and it is up there. That was a hell of a one to record. Those are really huge games. Anyhow, you can find the links to all that stuff, Linktree/the GTP. We want to thank Crunkwitch for the use of our theme song, Clash of the Droids. They're going on tour soon. I didn't see any of the dates. I tried to look up the dates and whatever for their summer tour, for their release, for their new album. So keep your eyes peeled for that, for those to drop for your area. And of course, last but not least, we would like to thank RetroGameTreasure.com, owned and operated by the Megabuck himself. Retro Game Treasure is a subscription service that takes the hassle out of collecting retro video games. No more hunting them, no more guessing if they're going to work, and no more wasted time as an adult, which you don't have. Instead, Retro Game Treasure subscribers select from a wide range of consoles and gaming genres to collect for. Then, Buck and his family straight up hand pack many boxes by hand with games like, what was our retro zone today? Lord of the Rings, Return of the King for the GameCube, and 75 other ones that we've done of the 75 episodes of this podcast. All could potentially be in your box. Every month, those are your games to keep to help grow your collection. And if you want to start collecting for a new console, he makes it very easy because he also has a console shop page on the website. So you can buy new consoles there and then just go over to your profile, select, I now have this console, and then boom, those games start getting drip fed to you. And only the games you like. He also keeps track of the games that you have, not just the games that he gives you, so you never get a repeat game. So start collecting games the easy way today with RetroGameTreasure.com. Buck, can you hit me with this week's subscribers?
This week we welcome Rob Lentz, Troy Adamson, Julian Labriquier, Robert Burrell, Nick Jessup, and James Hopp.
Thank you so much for subscribing. It really means a lot. But until next week, my name is Max Stein, and I love the Game Treasure Podcast. It's so bad.
It's so bad.